Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. It seems that the story has finally been, I guess you can see, stamped by WWE. It's on their schedule on their own website that SmackDown is moving from Friday nights to Thursday nights, back where it originally started. It's still going to be on the Sci-Fi Network. I honestly don't think that this is a big change for WWE. I think that the way a lot of people watch wrestling these days, I know that Monday Night Raw and pay-per-views seem to be, I have to watch this when it's on. Every other show they do, from NXT to SmackDown to Main Event, is just sort of like DVR watching. I think people DVR these shows. If they watch them in whole, they watch them whenever they want to. I don't see a lot of people sitting down and live tweeting during SmackDown. It doesn't seem like it's a must-see event. I don't see moving it a day from Friday until Thursday is going to mean that, a lot of the sort of talk about why people don't watch SmackDown on Friday, to me, is that Friday night is a night to go out. It's your last day of school. It's your last day of work. It's just not made for sitting down and watching television because there's something to do out there on the town. To me, honestly, the argument is that WWE really doesn't care about SmackDown. Ever since they did the brand split and it ended, I knew there were stories out there where Randy Orton was champion, that just SmackDown wasn't drawing house shows, wasn't drawing TV tapings. They needed to liven up and put some more names on that show, so they were able to put the SmackDown people on Raw, and they called it the Super Show, thinking that if they were on Raw, they would get more exposure and they would be there, and that slowly leaked into John Cena appearing on SmackDown here or there, or other stars coming over and trying to make it a bigger name show. Honestly, I just think, there's so many times when you see the SmackDown spoilers come out on Tuesdays, and don't act like you don't read them. Everybody reads them. I think that there's a higher rating on SmackDown spoilers than there are on SmackDown. But, sometimes you're like, oh, that fucking looks like a really good match. I'm going to go out of my way to make sure I see this on Friday. And then they redo it on Monday. Or they just do it, and then it doesn't even matter in the long run. They just have blown it off and gone in a completely different direction come Monday. I know before SummerSlam, they did the Paige attacked AJ and threw her off the stage. They had a real good Cesaro versus Swagger match. Every once in a while, they do some things that just sort of pop up and they matter. But in the long run, SmackDown's always going to be television that nobody really cares about. When SmackDown first started, it was a show that people really cared about. They had Rock, they had Stone Cold, they had the Hardys. Anybody that was anybody appeared on both shows. And maybe when Vince McMahon was a genius, when basically WCW went out of business, he started the brand split and basically created his own competition amongst itself, and made the SmackDown team and the Raw team compete against each other in the Red versus Blue challenge. Not just wrestler versus wrestler, but creative team versus creative team, trying to draw for ratings. Paul Heyman, in the Paul Heyman documentary, really went into it that he was in charge of this team. It was his job to make sure that he had the better team, that had the better ratings, that had the better show. And even though he didn't have the biggest names, he made sure he made the biggest moves. And bringing in guys like, I remember when he said that they took Chris Jericho from him, so he demanded that they would send him Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero. And, people within WWE laughed at him for bringing these people over, thinking that he would never be able to get them over. And next thing you know, SmackDown is kicking Raw's ass, and it doesn't really have the names to do it. And he's mostly doing it through tag team matches in the main event, and just having his SmackDown main six guys of Edge, Rey Mysterio, the Guerreros, the world's greatest tag team was in there. It's just sort of easy, simple moves. Making things matter is going to make it matter in the long run. But I think that right now, the WWE creative team is spread so thin that anything they try to do isn't really going to matter in the long run. Because like so many times you see things plugged. This is going to be what's on Main Event tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. They'll plug it a day ahead of time, and the match doesn't even happen. It's just every time you turn around, somebody's changing somebody's mind. There's just too many guys out there. When they used to book WWE back in the day when it was WWF, it was Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson sitting down by the pool in his backyard, and they would draw up 6 months of stuff that was going to happen on television, that would book the house shows, And that was what they went through. Every once in a while, somebody would fail a drug test, somebody would quit the company, and they would have to change something on the fly. But most of the time, you were able to stick through your plan. If you watch these shoot interviews, they say that, basically, Vince would walk up to you one day, and he would tell you where you're going to be today, where you're going to be next month, the next month, and basically what led to your WrestleMania match. And that's how you knew how you mattered in the WWE and the whole atmosphere of what's going on. Now you got guys who don't even know where they're going to be for television next week. They don't know if they're going to be booked on Raw. They don't know if they're going to be booked on SmackDown. And basically they don't even know what's going down. But in the long run, I'm not really that ecstatic about SmackDown moving to Thursdays. It doesn't really matter in my life. And if it matters in yours, here's to you.